Jesus tells another story of being watchful in Matthew 25. It's the story of the 10 bridesmaids. Some of your Bibles might have it listed as the 10 virgins, but it's basically bridesmaids. Our wedding traditions are different here than they were in Israel back in the day. So here you have a wedding ceremony. Everybody comes here. I just officiated a wedding this weekend, and you have the groomsmen that walk up with the groom, and then you have the bridesmaids. They all come down and with their nice little flowers and looking great and everything. But back in the day, what would happen is the groomsmen would go and get the groom, and they would walk with the groom, and they would go house to house inviting people to the wedding feast. And you would do this in town, and so you would go from, if your bride was in the same town, you would go from house to house, inviting everybody, and then eventually you would have the entire wedding party, literally party, that was coming to the bride's house. And you were coming to pick up your bride, and then that's when the wedding festivity would start, and then they would party for like a week long. It was crazy. Okay, but if your bride lived in a different town, you would gather your groomsmen, you would gather people from your town, and then you would travel to the next town. And so you didn't always know when the groom was coming. You knew that a party was going to happen. You knew that a wedding was going to happen, but you didn't know when the groom was coming to get you. And so we have these 10 bridesmaids in Matthew 25. We'll start in verse 3. It says, "The 5 who were foolish didn't take enough olive oil for their lamps. But the other 5 were wise enough to take along extra oil." Now, remember that extra oil because that's important. "When the bridegroom was delayed, they all became drowsy and fell asleep." And so then as they're waiting, they fall asleep. Naturally, if you're waiting a long time and it's in the night, you're going to fall asleep. That's just what happens, okay? And so, but you have 5 that had extra oil and 5 who had just brought enough. And so then they wake up and they hear that the groom is coming. And so then the 5 who didn't bring enough oil, they look at the others that have extra and they say, "Hey, you need to give us some of your oil." And they go, "We don't have enough for you. We only have brought enough for ourselves." And so then they go out to buy more. And look what it says in verse 10. "But while they were gone to buy oil, the bridegroom came. Then those who were ready went in with him to the marriage feast, and the door was locked. Later, when the other 5 bridesmaids returned, they stood outside calling, 'Lord, Lord, open the door for us.' But he called back, 'Believe me, I don't know you. So you too must keep watch, for you do not know the day or hour of my return.'" I want you guys to notice something. All 10 of these bridesmaids had oil. All of them knew the groom was coming. The only difference was, it's not that the 5 unwise ones, the foolish ones, forgot. It's that they didn't bring enough. They weren't prepared to wait. You see, there's a lot of people nowadays that are like, they're crying about how awful the world is getting. They're crying about how I just can't seem to go on. I don't know how much more of this I can take. They don't have enough oil to wait. We are called to not only have oil for the moment, but also the oil to keep waiting.